Hello, and welcome to the Insights In Hindsight podcast, where every week we dive into stories, minds, and yours to unwrap the wisdom hiding in our yesterdays. I'm your host, the ever inspiring Dawn, and I am here to inspire and motivate you to the best of my ability while coming from the understanding that perfection does not exist. Thank you to everyone who's joining this week's podcast. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about code switching in the Black community, which is what I like to call unlocking our superpower, realizing that code switching is not just confined to a work environment. We also use code switching with our families, our friends, our relationships, anywhere where we're not being authentically ourselves and we feel like we have the need to shift or change into some other version of us in order to get along or make things less uncomfortable or to have a different perception of what we already know ourselves to be, falls under the line of code switching. We're going to dive into the positives, the negatives, examples of how we use them, of course, a story from hindsight from my own personal experience, and hopefully we learn something. But before we get started, let's go ahead and get a word from our sponsor, and then we'll come right back and dive into the topic.
Hello, friends. Today I have some super exciting news. We have our first sponsor. Our awesome sponsor, the Achievement Agency, is here to help single moms who are looking for jobs. They have this cool service called the Resume Revamp that can help make their resume shine. So imagine having a best friend, an auntie, a coworker, whoever that knows exactly what a job wants at the company that you're wanting to apply for, and they can put some razzle dazzle on your resume to make it perfect for that particular position. They find the magic words to help your resume get noticed by the applicant tracking system, which is basically the AI that screens your resume before it gets to an actual human being, magnify your resume to skip over the ATS, the applicant tracking system, to get it in front of the human, and then the human can make the decision. The Resume Revamp, they make sure that your resume tells a story in a way that will catch the eye of the people who are hiring so it doesn't get lost in the pile with a bunch of others. And the best part, it's totally free for those who qualify. You answer a couple of questions, it's like less than 7 questions to see if you qualify for this free program. And even if you don't qualify for the free program, they will still offer your service for you for like a minimal amount of money. If you're a single mom and you need a little help, if you're unemployed, underemployed, looking to scale your career, if you need help with a resume, reach out to the Achievement Agency, sign up for their Resume Revamp. They have done this in the past and they have had 100% success and satisfaction with those who have gone through this program before. If you need to go back and look, you can take a look at their Instagram page. And for those of us who are challenged when it comes to spelling, I look for the red squiggly line when I'm typing. They're at TheAchievementAgency at the Achievement Agency on Instagram. You can email them at help@theachievementagency.org. HELP@theachievementagency.org. With that, everyone needs a little help these days. The new year is coming. We want to get out of these raggedy jobs that we have. We're trying to get to bigger, better things. We're trying to get bigger and better bags. So let the Achievement Agency help you get out of whatever it is that you're in and get you into something that much better.
As I said earlier, this week we're going to dive into this wonderful world of code switching and discovering its plethora of shades and benefits, as well as its blunders that it brings into our lives. Before we dive in, I just wanted to bring to the forefront of the conversation that what I've learned recently is code switching in the relationships are one of the reasons why our relationships fail. We know that finances are a big cause. We know that lying is a big cause. Cheating for sure is a big cause. But code switching, which in other words means showing up as an unauthentic version of yourself, putting on, doing extra, being over the top when you know that's not truly who you are in the core of yourself, is also a huge factor into why relationships fail. And I'm not saying in regards to marriages per se, because I would love to think that when you're with someone for an extended period of time who knows themselves, who have done work to heal past traumas or things that we know can hinder us as individual human beings, when we work on those things and we truly feel like we know where we are in that particular stage of life, because again, as I said in a previous episode, we constantly are changing and evolving, and the version of us 5 years from now, yesterday, may be different from the version of us tomorrow and 2 years down the line. But that doesn't mean that we're not authentically who we are. So to know what you know and to know who you are in any given moment, but you still switch up or change or pivot your own personality traits or actions for the benefit of someone else, we should really stop doing that. We should really show up authentically as we are, good, bad, and indifferent, and see where it takes us. That's how we find true partners. That's how we find true friendships. That's how we find true happiness. So now that we got that out the way, let's dive into some positives and some negatives of code switching. And this time we're going to focus on situations in the job place or other areas of our lives. So the first thing we want to say as a positive is a cultural connection. So code switching bridges the gap between generations, allowing for meaningful conversations that honor tradition while embracing modern scenarios. So with that, when we're with our family, the version of, if our family is decent, because some of us have really shitty families and we got to show up with somebody else just to get through the dinner. But when you have a good family dynamic and everyone talks the same language, and we can take our hats off and just chill and relax and sip on a little something, play some dominoes, eat some good food, play some spades, depending on what region you're from, whatever the case may be. That allows us to have meaningful conversations because we're honoring traditions that have been set up by our elders. So in that instance, cultural connection by the way of code switching. In this instance, we're switching off what we have to do on the outside world so that we can function normally on the inside world. That's a positive as it pertains to code switching. When it comes to professional advancement, so in our current world where there's a ton of diversity within workplaces, not necessarily gender or racial diversity, but just diversity in the industries that we can work in, the ability to code switch can open doors for career growth, and it can enable individuals to navigate differently through environments effectively. So the prime example of that is when you work on the job, when you go on an interview, you show up as the best person that you think the job wants to see. It may not necessarily be the best version of you, but if you do a little research, you read the job description, you go on Indeed to look at different things that the employees have posted. If you don't do that, you should definitely do that because that will help you show up and show out in your interviews if you can get a sense of feel of how the people who currently work there communicate through the things that they post on Indeed about the employer. Pro tip. Nonetheless, I digress. So when we show up there, we're showing up as a version of who we think that they want to be. And even during our first month, 3 months, 6 months to a year on the job, we show up who we think that they want us to be. We change our voice. We dress different. We wear our hair in a more traditional sense, depending on where you work. Some places you can work and, none of that matters. But in like a corporate environment, when you're working for a Fortune, whatever company, you show up a certain way. And it's not something that we've ever even had a conversation about. I know working in corporate America for umpteen years that I've worked there. For the first, I would say not until the past 4 or 5 years did I say, I'm showing up as me. I was code switching, voice changing. Hi, thank you for calling such and such. This is Dawn. How may I help you? Now I'm like, hi, this is Dawn. Like even the way that I say my name, depending on where I am geographically, changes as a form of code switching in a professional advancement. And I can say that my form of code switching has definitely helped me advance. And when I stopped doing it, the opportunity for growth slowed down. Another positive, identity preservation. So code switching preserves the cultural identity of our Black communities by ensuring that our African American vernacular, and that's actually a real term, African American Vernacular English, AAVE, thrives alongside the standard American English. So what that means is, how we have our own talk, we talk our shit. They made the whole Ebonics dictionary. We have our own way of communicating verbally and non-verbally. We know what a nod means. We know what it means if we tilt our head to the one side and squint our eyes a little bit. We know what that means. We know that if we nod up, that means what's up. If we nod down, that means what the fuck is going on. Like, we know who our people are. We can identify and preserve our vernacular because it differentiates us from other cultures. Then we have social inclusivity. So social inclusivity, let me get my S's together. That fosters a sense of belonging by enabling individuals to communicate effectively in various social settings. Let me read that again. Social inclusivity fosters a sense of belonging by enabling individuals to communicate effectively in various social settings. It basically reduces the risk of alienation. So when we're out and we're being social, and we may not want to be there, but we know it's for the betterment of ourselves. Sometimes you got to get out and get with the people. You got to mingle and do the thing. So one of the positive things about code switching is in these social constructs, we turn it on to fit in so we're not alienating ourselves, so we don't feel lonely, so that we can ensure ourselves to have a good time. That can be both positive and negative, but most of us tend to have to do it in some space. We know that we wear different hats, and certain hats have to show up in certain scenarios, in certain settings, within certain groups. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're being fake. It could just be a part of you that fits with this group versus a different part of you that may fit with another group. And in that scenario, it's inclusive based upon who you're around. Because if you have one group of friends who are hella bougie and all they want to eat is crab legs, lobster tails, and champagne, and then you got the other group where they just want Popeyes with hot sauce, both of them you're going to have a good time, but the way you show up is different. If you show up with your Popeye shit, when you eating your crab legs and you drinking your champ, they might look at you a little funny, even though, hell, you want some Popeyes that day. If you show up with the Popeyes crew, talk about some, yo, let's bust down these crab legs and get this champagne, they're going to look at you like, are you dumb? My pockets don't support that. So it's not a bad thing per se. You know, it's different strokes for different folks. And if you are a multifaceted individual, then you can show up and show out in any given social industry. Another positive is empowerment, baby. Code switching empowers us with the linguistic flexibility to advocate for our rights and address issues related to racism and social justice. Now, when we were going through Black Lives Matter, not that we're not going through it now, but when it was heavily out there, when we were all shut down and we were enraged anyway, and we wanted to show up and show out and let people know that we are not going to be divided, that was empowerment. We showed up as our authentic Black ass selves for a movement to bring our Black ass people and put them ahead of the line. We wanted to shine light on the fact that we are human beings and we deserve to be here. Y'all brought us here. We're staying. That's it and that's all. Y'all not gonna treat us like trash. Those days are over. So using code switching to empower, where the way that we are in corporate America at work or whatever is not the way that we show up at those marches. So in that instance, the code switch brings us strength, community, understanding, love, and all the positive ooey-gooey stuff that falls in between. Now, there's some negatives to code switching. Some may say code switching as a whole is negative, but like I said earlier, there's a positive and a negative to anything that you do, where there's light, there's darkness. So the first negative we're going to dive into is identity struggles. So constantly switching between languages and communication styles may lead to an internal struggle to maintain a constant sense of self. Now, that was the whole reason why I stopped code switching in the first place some 5 years ago. I just got tired. I was tired of being fake. I just felt fake. I would go to work and talk to these other people and feel fake as fuck, to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. I can't sit in these meetings and cackle and kiki. It's not even cackle and kiki. I can't sit in these meetings and chuckle with Rebecca from finance because she wants to talk about her cat and how the cat scratched the baby, and now they don't know what to do with the cat because the baby is now scared of the cat. Like, I don't give a fuck, Rebecca. Fuck your cat, fuck your kid. Like, I can't do it anymore. I could not sit in another room. I could not sit on another Zoom call. I could not respond to another email just to fill space and air, just to be seen or make it seem like I am involved or that I give a fuck about these people when I don't. Like, I had to stop doing it, and I did. And I suffer for it from a career perspective. But I don't care. Like, I waited until I was in a good position. I waited until my money was solid. And then I said, fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm showing up as me. And if you have a problem with me showing up authentically with who I am, then that sounds like some racist shit. As long as I'm getting my work done and I'm not alienating anybody and there's nothing in my performance that can be tailored or tarnished in any way. If you just have a problem because my personality changed, you can kiss my ass. I'm going to sue you. Moving on. So some individuals might fear that code switching erodes their authenticity or dilutes their cultural roots. And that's pretty self-explanatory. When we have to show up as someone else, it kind of takes our blackness away. When we have to go to work, and normally when we're not at work, we wear a 28-inch bust down. But when we go to work, we got to switch it up to a 16 or an 18. If we want to wear our afro on Sunday and our fight to power earrings and throw it back with an old school medallion of Africa. But when we go to work on Monday, we're in slacks and a blouse and our hair is tied up in a bun. It can start to take a toll on you. It can start making you be concerned about, am I really, like, why am I doing this? Am I really doing this for the sake of $1? Am I really doing this to try to appease the quote unquote man so that I can keep my gig and do all the things that I need to do? That has to suck. I know it sucks because I've been there. I had someone tell me one day that, because I would change my hair, you know, us Black women, we like to change up our hairstyles. Some lady at work told me, another Black woman might I add, that I should stop changing my hair as often because it's going to make these white men in this office not trust me. I looked at her and told her, you need to go pray. And I walked away. The audacity. I'm going to change my hair. Like, I'm not, like, that part of me is not going to change. Now, I may not do the styles that I would like to do. Well, back then, I didn't do the styles that I like to do. I wouldn't go to work with my faux locks. But now, girl, please, you're going to get whatever it is that shows up. I'll blow out my hair and leave it blown out. I'm coming in here with full-fledged, kinky straight, 18 inches on my own, wind blown, looking like, what the fuck? And I don't care. I dare you to say something, because I will pull out a Crown Act quote and call somebody's lawyer with the quickness. Try me, please. I could use a good check. Anyway, another one would be exhaustion. The mental effort required to code switch is draining, especially in environments where it's demanded exclusively. I used to work for a Fortune 50, and even though the offices were all over the US, we worked in a corporate office. So there was a certain corporate ideology that existed, but it wasn't spoken. And I challenged it. And this was in my earlier days of my career, my late 20s, early 30s, I believe. And it might have been after, I don't remember, child, don't get me to lying. But it bothered me. It bothered me so bad to where I left the company after working there for 7-8 years. I left the company because I was tired of being someone different. I was tired of feeling like a fraud. Like, I didn't even want to go in the office anymore. I didn't even want to look at these people anymore. I got tired of people staring at me trying to figure out, why does Dawn look different today? Mind your business, Bob. Shut the fuck up, Fred. Like, it was just, oh, something's different about you. I can't pinpoint it. Or, oh, that hair looks good on you. Or one day it was being called into the office because I had on an outfit. We were allowed to wear leggings. I had on leggings and some riding boots and a long sweater that covered the hips and the booty. Being respectable. And they had a problem with my outfit. And lo and behold, another young lady walked by, and she's actually a friend of mine. She shaped a little bit differently. She had a little more weight on her, but same outfit. Basically, sweater, riding boots, leggings. I said, are we going to call her in too? Well, why would we need to call her in? Because we have on the exact same motherfucking outfit. So if you're going to sit here and tell me that my outfit is inappropriate, half the women in here wear leggings and sweaters. That's what we do. It's the easy outfit to put on. It doesn't require ironing. It doesn't require thinking. Match the colors, put your shoes on and move it out the door. Why am I in here being talked to about my outfit? We gonna rally up all these women. I said, I'll start getting them in here now. Do you want me to go grab them? Now, mind you, this is HR talking to HR. You're not gonna play me. I know my rights and regs. I am trained on a monthly basis to know employee rights and regulations. So you're gonna try this shit with me? I ended up leaving that job. Ended up suing them too, but you know, that's a different conversation for a different day. Another negative is miscommunication. In some cases, code switching can lead to misunderstandings or misinterpretations, which hinder us in effective communication. So with this particular scenario, if we forget to turn that switch on and we're talking to Jeff in tech support And we normally talk to Jeff and, hi, Jeff, how are you today? How was your weekend? How are the kids? Wonderful. I'm doing great. How are you? Are you going to grab lunch today? Awesome. That's amazing. And you forget and you go, yo, what's up, Jeff? No, my weekend was cool. No, I ain't want to. Yeah, for sure. What you mean? No, I can't do that. I ain't doing that. Get somebody else to do it. Jeff's confused. His interpretation of you has changed. He feels like, who the fuck is this? Who is she? I don't know her. And then that can be a whisper down the lane scenario and cause all types of other problems to where they'll be like, oh, what's going on? The last negative we're going to dive into today is stereotyping. So when we code switch, there's a risk of perpetuating stereotypes when certain language styles are associated exclusively with specific social or professional roles. Back to the example that I just gave about Jeff. When we're showing up and we're walking by the receptionist and we're like, hey, how are you? Good morning. How was your weekend? And then the next day we're like, yo, you good? They're gonna be like, oh, this nigger, who is she? Oh my God, what happened? She's so, or if you're non-communicative and you keep to yourself, they think something's wrong with you. If you express your opinion in any way and your vernacular is not of the utmost of what they deem to be professional, you're going to be aggressive. If you're naturally loud, because some of us are just naturally loud and we don't know the difference. It just is what it is. So now we're just loud and black, and then we have angry and black. Like there are so many that exist to where we're stereotyped, and it makes us feel like we have to walk on eggshells to not fall into those stereotypes. And I can give you an example that happened recently. One of my clients wanted me to do a DE&I training and for the organization that I used to work for. And they wanted me to, I did it for this one client. Let me retract. I did it for this one client. And apparently it was great. They gave feedback. Oh, it's great to see DE&I from a minority, a double minority, because, being black and female, double minority. It was wonderful. We need this kind of representation, blah, 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 blah. So then the job came to me and said, hey, do you mind running DE&I overall? Like, would you mind facilitating the trainings for the company, period? And I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be your token Negro for a company where there are no minorities in the executive leadership. The entire executive team, all white males. All white. Where's the color? Where's the diversity? Where's the equity? And lastly, where's the inclusion? I am not being your token Negro because you got positive feedback from one client. And they mentioned that they were just ecstatic by the fact that their DE&I is being delivered by a minority and that the company must care about people of color when you don't. So I declined, and I did not decline in a code switching manner. I declined just like I did just now and said, I am not going to be the token. Sorry, not doing it. Get somebody else to do it. And they didn't like it. And they were on my ass after that for a young minute. And I didn't give a fuck because I reached a point where I am no longer changing my style to appease anyone else other than myself. I had to work to get here. My finances had to be together because you take a lot of risk in doing so, but the risk is worth it for me because I need to have peace of mind every day. So some things that we should consider when it comes to code switching are generational differences. We need to recognize that code switching can vary between generations. While younger individuals are often more adept in navigating diverse linguistic landscapes. In other words, they're more comfortable turning it on and turning it off when you're younger. When you're older, you don't. And that's kind of the running theme with all the information that I've shared. When I was younger, I didn't have a problem with it because I quite frankly didn't even know that I was doing it. I didn't know it was a thing. But then as I became older and became more mature and more educated, I'm like, I'm not doing that shit for nobody. I'm showing up as me. Like me, love me, leave me the fuck alone. And that's how it is. Another thing to consider is context matters. It really does. We need to understand that the appropriateness of code switching depends on the situation. An individual should feel free to choose when and how to engage in it. We also need to have a language evolution. Language is dynamic, it's forever changing. And code switching reflects the evolving nature of communication within the Black community. We come up with new slang words all the time. The stuff that we used to talk about in the 90s and the early 2000s, some of it still exists, but a lot of stuff is new. Or it just evolved. It's the same way, but it's the same word or the same phrase, but used in a different manner. So we need to just keep an eye on that and know that, shit changes. We also need to know that language evolves within our community. We also need to understand that there's intersectionality. Code switching is not solely about language, but can also intersect with factors like race, gender, and class. And that one bothers the fuck out of me. I hate a pretentious Black person. I really do. And I'm sorry if we have pretentious Black people listening. You probably don't even know you're pretentious, because that's the part of being pretentious. I hate an uppity Black person. I really do. I joined a country club just so I can bring my authentic Black self around these uppity Black people and make them uncomfortable. I did. I'm not going to lie to you. That was a goal of mine for this year. And at the end of the year, a couple weeks ago, I decided, hey, I'm going to join a country club. And these Black people in there are so uppity. Now, I'm not, people call me bougie all the time, and that's fine. But I'm the most down-to-earth bougie person you'll ever meet, if that's true. But these Black people look at me like they calling me the nigger with the ER. Capital N, ER. And I just go in there just to fuck with them and act real me. You have to qualify to be in a country club. You have to make a certain dollar amount. You have to have certain accolades, or at least the one that I joined. So I deserve to be there. You know what I mean? I'm in your class, ma'am, sir. Like we all in here make above a certain dollar amount. We all have accomplished certain things to get approved. So I'm here. I deserve to be here. And I'm going to eat your ass up every time I show up. Come on, let's play pickleball. Let's do it. Let's play racquetball. I actually like racquetball. I haven't played pickleball yet. But let's play racquetball. Let's do it, Let's work out in the gym, Samantha. Girl, please, stop playing with me. But yes, I just thought I'd share that little tidbit of information because it's real. Code switching within different classes within our own ethnic group is crazy. It really is. Another thing that we can consider is community empowerment. We can encourage community-driven initiatives that celebrate linguistic diversity and challenge societal norms. So we have a lot of programs within our inner cities, our inner city youth. There tend to be programs, less now than they were back in the day, but there are programs that I know of in areas that I have provided services to. And whenever I am invited to speak at a function or where I volunteer and I help foster children as part of some of my volunteer work, I don't accept it unless I can show up as me. I say, hey, in order for me to talk to these kids, I need to talk to them the way that they talk to each other. So I'm not going to get up here and say, hey guys, how's your day? I'm not doing that. I'm like, yo, what's up? I know y'all probably wondering, who the fuck is this? Like, and I guess I get their attention. They're like, oh, who is she? Let me listen to her because she crazy or she cool, one or the other. But it's so important that we empower our community to be authentically who they are and to not feel bad because they feel like they can't show up for this or show up for that because they don't know how to be this way or that way. We have to let them know that they're beautiful and amazing just the way they are. Their language is their own. It's individualized. And the people who know you are the people who are going to hear you and understand you. You don't necessarily have to turn that off to go fit into a norm. Now, you may not get a job in corporate America. And we're going to keep it 100% honest. You may not get that job if you go in there talking like yourself. Unfortunately, that's reality. But within our own community, be you. Be true. Like, it is what it is. If your English is broken, then it's broken. When I'm talking to my people, my English is broken because I'm lazy. I talk lazy. When I'm talking to a client, I talk different, but I still talk about like myself. Like my vernacular is the same. I just speak in a more grammatically correct manner. And I don't think that's code switching. That's just, it might be code switching, but I talk both ways all the time. It just depends. It depends on my mood. It depends on a lot of things, but it's still Black. I still sound like I grew up in the city. If you don't know, I'm from Philadelphia. So I still sound like I'm from Philly. I might not walk around saying John and stuff like that, only because I don't see the use of the word anymore. But for sure, you can tell that I'm from somebody's city. But I spent a lot of time in California, so it's kind of I kind of have a bridge of both. And quite frankly, I probably talk different when I'm at home than when I'm in California as well. Nonetheless, I'm digressing again. Community empowerment is extremely important. We must empower our youth, our men, and our women to not feel bad because they are looked at differently or negatively from people outside of ourselves. We are enough as a whole. Our Black community, we're enough as a whole. We don't need to be accepted by other groups to make us feel better about who we are and what our culture brings. Other people's opinions should not matter. The way that we show up, as long as we are comfortable with the way that we're showing up, is the way that we should. Being forced to conform for gain, while I know that it's a requirement in most places, I really wish that it would go away. And I hope that there's new laws and legislations that are passed that will support us in our authentic selves. I know the Crown Act was a huge deal as it pertains to work. And for those who don't know, I work in HR. I do HR consulting, and I've been in HR for over 15 years. And seeing this Crown Act pass was major. Seeing these large corporations focusing on DE&I, seeing how companies are being forced to accept those who our society deems as different, whether that's the LGBTQ+, whether that's Asians, anyone who's not white, to be honest. I am so happy that these laws exist. And I don't have anything against anybody. I am an ally for anyone who is an underdog. I don't care what your race, skin, creed, color. I don't give a damn. If you need support and you need help, I'm going to help you if I can. And if I can't, I'm going to find somebody who can. That's just how I am. I don't have that bone in my body. I don't like people individually, not as a group. So don't even think that that's what we're talking about here. Nonetheless, I just want to encourage everyone to be comfortable with who you are. And if you reach a point where you realize that you have been switching up and you have been showing up as somebody different, then take a risk. If you can afford to take the risk, take the risk. If you want to stop showing up as someone else and show up as who you are, do it. Just make sure that you're prepared for any possible negative outcome that may come out of it. As it pertains to our relationships, ladies, we have to always show up as who we are. If we're outside and we just having a good time and, we just doing what we do, trying to get somebody to trick on us, then do what you got to do. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, you want to be married, you want to have a family, whatever the case may be, show up as who you are. And hopefully the person who you're attracted to is your person. Hopefully the person that you want is your person. Because if you're authentically who you are and the person who you think you want doesn't want you, that means that that's not your person. And you can walk away and be happy about it. Don't code switch for these men, women, and all the other people in between. Don't code switch for them. Be authentically who you are. Be proud of who you are. Love who you are. That's it and that's all. I'm going to holler at y'all next week. Peace.